I'm getting Naples, North. Is that North Naples? No, I like the crunch. I like the crunch on that. Oh God, is this LaCroix? The turmeric is nice. That's nice. Is that smash the subscribe button that I'm tasting? Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rob Built. I'm your host, Rob. A couple years ago, my wife bought me what was at the time a dream gift. This kegerator. And what we found is that when this kegerator was installed and full of beer, we were actually drinking significantly less. I think it's because it made us feel like alcoholics having so much beer in the house. But we didn't want this thing to go to waste because it was like 500 bucks, and it's ultimately a really cool thing to have around the house whenever guests are here. So we thought we may not drink a lot of beer anymore, but we do drink a lot of seltzer water. And I mean a lot. We mathed it out, and I think we calculated that we spend anywhere from $500 to $600 a year on seltzer water alone. So I did a little bit of research, and I found that converting a beer kegerator to a seltzer water machine is actually incredibly straightforward. All in all, I think this kegerator conversion cost me about $130, meaning I could spend $130 one time versus $500 to $600 a year for the rest of my life. And that seemed totally worth it to me. Now, if you don't have a beer kegerator, don't worry. I'm actually gonna be releasing a tutorial in a couple weeks that teaches you how to convert a mini fridge into a seltzer water tap. But I still think you should stick around because I think that you'll find a lot of the mechanics from this tutorial useful. Now let's talk about what you're gonna need to pull this project off. All the parts that I'm using for this conversion, I'm gonna be linking in the description down below, which, just saying, is awfully close to that like and subscribe button. So you just may wanna give those a click or two while you're down there. First, you're gonna need a ball and lock keg, which refers to how the hoses actually connect to the keg itself. And you're also gonna need a couple new lines for your water and carbonation. There are definitely several types of kegs that you can use for this, but in my research I found that the ball and lock system is the most simple because the connections from the water lines or beer lines, whatever you want to call them, connect right to these. So it's very quick to connect, it's very quick to disconnect. There's no hassle the way that you might find with other systems out there. Now, if you're going to be using your own tap water, I recommend that you buy a water filter so that your water doesn't taste like boo-boo. I'm gonna be using tap water for my system because it's by far the most convenient way to do this. It's just not practical to disconnect my keg, take it to a water filling station, and then haul it back to my house every single time I want to refill my keg. There are a couple of optional items you can get depending on how bougie and extra you want to get with your water by adding minerals and salts to your solution. I'm gonna be using calcium carbonate and pink Himalayan sea salt for my batch. Now, you can just use table salt for yours. I'm just using pink Himalayan sea salt because apparently it's got 84 different minerals in it, but table salt's totally fine. Of course, there are so many more things that you can add to your water, like flavoring or different minerals. I'm just keeping it simple because this is my first batch and I don't want to have to redo it. I'll slowly get more and more experimental every single time I do a keg refill. I'm going to show you how to use the ball lock system. I called it ball and lock earlier. Please don't judge me, brewers, brewing snobs. All right, so you pull your nozzle here back like that. Then you just push it onto your nozzle on your keg. Push it down, you'll hear a click. It's that easy. And then when you want to disconnect it, you do the same thing. You pull it back, you take it off. And that's why this type of keg is like significantly more convenient to use. And it's also super easy to open and refill. So you take this little handle thing, you pull it back. And then once you got it open, you have to kind of twist it, take it out. That was only take 5 of this because I wanted to make it look super easy. But whenever it's flat on a surface and you're not filming yourself, I promise it's super easy. So let's talk about what you're gonna need to do to actually get started. Now, my keg is brand new, so it already comes to me sanitized. I'm just gonna wash it out with soap and water. I asked a brewer friend of mine, he said this is sufficient for a brand new keg. If you're using a used keg or you have an old keg with beer in it that you're gonna empty, you're gonna need to clean that out with a special solution called 5-star PBW, which again, I'll link down below. And that's properly formulated to get all that yeast and bacteria out of your keg. But if you have a brand new keg, a little soap and water and you'll be good to go. So let's do that now. And one little thing that I forgot to mention, make sure that you're using warm or hot soapy water. So I'm just gonna add it in here. I'm just gonna fill it up just a little bit more and then I'm gonna start scrubbing it. So that should be enough, so I'm gonna start shaking it around, scrubbing it, getting it all nice and clean. I actually found that it's a little tough to get my arm in there, so I'm just gonna go old school, fill it up. It's closed off right now and I'm just gonna shake it around. You don't have to watch this. Okay, just fast forward. This is like the ultimate shake weight. I'm gonna empty this out, wash it out with water, and then we should be good to go with this keg. All right, so if you have a new kegerator, this won't apply to you as much, but I'm gonna basically take all the metal parts that interact with water and liquid. I'm gonna throw it on in a pot full of boiling water just to sanitize it and try to get a bunch of that kind of old beer gunk off. And then I'll start hooking up all my tubes. To be honest, this might be overkill. You could probably just wash yours off with soap and water. But again, I just wanna do this right, so I am sanitizing it as best as I know how, considering that there has been old beer and gunk on here. Just figured this is the best way to do it, but this part is up to you. While all that boils, I'm gonna go ahead and run my new carbonation and water line through my keg. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to actually change your carbonation line out if you don't want to. It's probably fine to use the old one, but I bought a brand new pack of 2, so I figured why not swap it out since it's brand new. Now I'm gonna run this through the inside of my fridge and then through the hole in the back of your kegerator. Now that I ran it through, I'm gonna go ahead and hook it back up to my CO2 tank. Before you put yours on, there's this little bracket right here, or I don't know what you would call this, but you wanna put this on your line first, and then you wanna put this on the nozzle of your CO2 tank. Get it on there nice and snug, as far up as you can. If I had $1 for every time I said that. Okay. But once you got your line on, then you're gonna wanna tighten your clamp. Okay, so next you're gonna wanna run your water line through. Now this came with a little spout at the end of it. I don't need this, so I'm gonna take this off real quick. Once you take this off, it might be a little stretched out, but that's what your clamp is for. So this isn't too bad. This you just run up through the pipe up here. There we go. Now that all of our tap parts are all sanitized, now I'm just gonna reassemble all this and then I'm gonna attach our new water line. Okay, so my lines are routed through my kegerator and ready to go. One thing to note before you drink from your lines or use them, make sure to clean them. I'm not gonna get into that in this tutorial because there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube from people way more qualified than me that can show you how to do that, but just know that you're gonna want them clean before use. And of course, before you put any tap water into your keg, don't forget to put your water filter onto your faucet. I've got about 4 gallons of water in my keg right now. Just want to say before I'm adding the minerals and get into all that, you can just do seltzer water. You don't have to add anything to this. You can just do your tap water or your filtered tap water, however you want to do it. Adding the minerals is just an extra bonus if you really want to get like that molecular with it. I'm just going to go into this just in case you want to, you know, spruce up your water and have kind of a more Topo Chico, Pellegrino, Perrier type of taste to it. As I said, since this is my first batch, I want to keep things pretty simple. So I'm going to be adding 1 gram of calcium carbonate per gallon of water. Now my keg is 5 gallons, so that means I'm only gonna need 5 grams for this. And then I'm also gonna be adding 2 teaspoons of Himalayan sea salt. Now we're gonna go ahead and hook up our water and carbonation lines. Do keep in mind that you want your water line to connect where it says out, and then you want your carbonation line to connect where it says in. And now you're gonna purge out the oxygen in your keg so that you only have CO2 in it. Now when you add calcium carbonate to your water is gonna look a little bit cloudy, and that's because it can't actually dissolve in the water without the CO2. Lines are connected, oxygen is purged. It's gonna take a couple days for your water to get fully carbonated because it needs to be very cold before the carbonation absorbs into the water. So we're gonna place the keg in the kegerator for a day. Lines are connected to the keg. Keg is in the fridge. We're gonna leave this in here for 24 hours. Now let's talk about PSI. For a good seltzer, you're gonna wanna be anywhere from 25 to 30 PSI. This is a little different from beer. Beer is typically anywhere from 8 to 12 PSI. I like mine on the more carbonated side, so I'm gonna go 30 PSI for this, but it's all personal preference. You're gonna have to experiment with it until you find the perfect breakdown for you. It's been about 24 hours, so I'm just gonna make sure that my keg is super cold. Nice. Very cold. It's still gonna take a couple days for your keg to fully carbonate, but we can kind of speed things along by shaking it up, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is just shake and swirl your keg like so. And you don't have to get too crazy with how you're doing this. You just wanna shake it up enough until you hear carbon dioxide from your tank go into your keg. You hear that? You better hear that. I paid a lot of money for this lavalier microphone. There's only one last thing to do. Taste test. And we have these Waterford crystals here because we got them for our wedding like so many years ago and we literally never use them. So why not pull all the stops out for this tutorial? Oh, all right. Not a perfect pour, but you're not gonna know that because I'm gonna edit this out in post. All right, here goes nothing. Yes. I'm getting the aroma of a Scandinavian jackfruit. Northern Naples? Northern Naples? Yes, it's beautiful. Huh, how are you? I'm doing well, sir. All right, it's good. It's good, all right? I mean, seltzer water can like only get so good, so I feel like I nailed it. I was a little nervous that I was gonna have to redo this and reshoot the tutorial, but all in all, very crispy, very light. Yeah, easy project to do. Took me about a day's worth of time in terms of process to shoot everything and get it all chilled, but the amount of time actually put into this, less than an hour for anyone that has a kegerator. Don't forget to watch out for my upcoming tutorial where I teach you how to convert a mini fridge into a seltzer tap. But for right now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right here. Or you can watch either of these two videos right here if you like my content and hit the like button, which I think is like right here. Okay, catch you on the next episode of Raw Built.